I'm Kent.
I'm Julia.
And this is a little catch-up story of what's happened since the volcanic eruption of 2018 on the island of Hawaii. Feel free to jump in anytime you want to say anything.
Okay. Well, approximately a year ago, we were living on Poiki Street, which is in Puna, right outside of Pahoa town, and we're just basically getting into to the end
of our first container house.
Yeah, of our first house and the property too. We were getting to the point where we were ready to like put the orchards in. We had some avocado trees in. We had our fruit orchards picked out. We were ready to start planting our farm after about 4 years of building and clearing and you know, planting grass and all of that stuff, upkeep and everything else. So
yep, we arrived to a jungle and pretty much tamed it enough so that we could probably, like she says, start putting in some orchard. And we had some chickens.
Yeah, we had about 20 chickens. Yeah, they were laying really well. I mean, we had eggs for days. I mean, didn't have to really buy any of that kind of stuff.
Well, we were kind of selling them too.
We were selling them, yes, and we were selling them, according to most of my customers, relatively cheaply for the area. I mean, you pay about what we were charging for a dozen very large, fresh, super fresh eggs.
They were free range. The chickens got to go around, scratch around in the field, and carry on. So they were good eggs. I mean, they were definitely
really good.
They were really good.
Their color and everything was just awesome.
So anyway, we were basically to the point of where we'd had it all sheetrocked and had all of the bamboo flooring in it, and was painting trim around the windows. I mean, we were to the final stages, and then the
cracks in the road began to appear.
Yeah, the cracks in the road started to appear, and we had a volcano erupt. Well, actually, how many fissures? It was like 24, 25 fissures that opened up
at one time, but it was kind of confusing because they kept, what would happen is the fissure would open up and it would spit out some lava and they would number at number 1, but then after it had stopped for a few minutes, you know, a week or two or a day or two or whatever, and then it would come back up and they would like renumber that one from 1 to 20 or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah.
So it was a bit confusing.
So there was fissure 1 opened up over by a friend of ours' houses, and that one I think pretty much got his house. But then it moved down the rift zone a bit to fissure 18, and that's the one where
it was actually past us.
Yeah, it was past us.
And then it moved up.
And then it moved up the rift, and I think,
which was also past us.
I think fissure 21. I think fissure 21 is the one that actually got us.
Well, it was originally fissure 8.
No, fissure 8 was one that came with the river.
Oh, okay.
Fissure,
yeah.
21 had the flow.
Right.
It was some leftover lava from, I guess, from like the 1940s eruption before that was coming out first, and so that stuff was kind of thicker and gooey and
rocky and crumbly.
Rocky and crumbly. They call it because when you walk on it, you go
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the one that mowed our place over originally, and I think later that day, I think fissure 8 really opened up, and that's where it kind of got a double whammy. That was the one that came down and wiped pretty much most of the subdivision on the east side. Just wiped everybody out.
I don't know. Are we recording?
We're recording right now.
Oh. Well, excuse my weird mouth expression because...
It's okay. We can cut most of that stuff out.
Good, because I don't mean to do it. It's just the differences in altitude.
So we stopped and visited a friend here at a local neighborhood. One of our favorite restaurants called Kaleo's in Pahoa, Hawaii. And
where we used to live.
Yeah, where we used to live. And we're going to take a little drive out there. And
yeah.
maybe I can get this camera not so cockeyed.
And that way we can...
That way folks can see. There we go.
There. Is it on?
Oh, it's on.
I can't see it.
I got the display off, but it's on.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, you'll be able to view along with us here and see how...
This is Kenneth's school, used to be.
Yeah, this used to be his school. And we'll be coming up here where the Volcano hub was. This is where some locals had set up a basically a facility where they could like hand out some water to some of the displaced residents. Off to the right hand side there you can see some buildings that they put in. I'm not sure what those are for, but this is what they called the hub, and they were doing a lot of like free meals and giving out water and blankets. And
it's almost like the California fires. They had people that were donating things, and
yeah, there were people that were donating a lot of goods and items
meals and stuff like that. Yeah,
because there were a lot of people that had zero time to get any of their materials or stuff out of their houses. They pretty much lost everything.
We actually got lucky there, honestly.
Yeah, well, when the ground started cracking, what did I say?
We started packing.
That's right.
We did.
We
did. If we had, they kept saying that it's not, it's not gonna.
Yeah, it's not gonna. It's not gonna. No, it's just
it's just.
They were playing it down, but we were actually getting seasick out there because the ground kept moving up and down and up and down constantly for weeks on end. We kind of thought we had a flu, but it was the earth moving up and down all the time.
Yeah, Kenneth actually missed a lot of school because he'd get up in the morning throwing up. We had absolutely no idea why.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with him, but by the afternoon, he was okay. We figured that it was because when we were sleeping, that movement was causing us to get motion sickness.
Yep.
And we didn't know.
Yep.
So yeah, that was really interesting.
So as we're traveling out here towards Po'iki Road, this is the once famous tree road. There used to be a canopy of trees that pretty much covered the road, and then the Hurricane Estelle came through and knocked all the trees down. So it's kind of
a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks pretty barren and stripped.
Which is actually a good thing that it did. And weirdly enough, we had Estelle in August that came through and ripped down a lot of the big albizia trees. They're kind of dangerous trees, actually. This is the same tree that basically filled the lot that we bought.
Yeah.
And then in January, what they call the Kona winds came through, and they come through occasionally extremely strong, which also happened in January. They were extremely strong and knocked down a bunch of other trees too. So there was quite a lot of damage done from these big albizas.
Yeah.
Luckily, we didn't have any problems because by then we had actually cleared the lot of 90% of the albizas, and they were just basically along the
along the perimeters.
Yeah, along the perimeter. Right. It wasn't just us. My mother lived on this road as well. We lost her house also.
Lost my mother's house, so we lost 3 houses in this eruption.
We sure did.
Which I might have to say really, really hurt.
Oh, I'm gonna definitely say it hurt really bad. Really bad. Especially to the point where we were. I mean, their house, his mom's house, was done. They were gonna move in. Our house was, as he said, painting, trim, almost done. We were to the last points, picking out where we were going to be putting everything and everything.
Here we go. Here we go. This is what the fissure did. This road used to go straight through here.
And as you can see, there is at least a 60-foot wall of lava in front of us, just down the road a little ways.
Yeah, our house was about
it was one-third of a mile.
Yeah, 1/3 of a mile right down that direction, past the lava, pretty much straight down there. And as you can see, it is completely covered.
Yeah, it's gone. Like I said, we were pretty lucky because when we saw the ground cracking, we started packing, putting things away, things that couldn't be replaced, memorabilia. We got as many appliances out of all of the homes that we could. Three homes.
We got most of the major things. Some of the other things that we didn't have time for, which is a whole other story in itself as to why we didn't have time to get everything out.
A lot of it has to do with the way that they ran the civil defense and weren't letting people in. In fact, there were people in the Leilani estates that left their home that morning and could not go back. And they would not let them back in to retrieve anything, including their animals. A lot of people's animals they died because
they got in the way of the lava and they died.
Or they were killed by the gases.
Or by the gases. It was a pretty horrendous thing. So this road here used to go down to, they're actually opening it back up as we speak. This is 132 that goes down towards Kapoho. And that whole community was wiped out.
As well,
yep.
We probably lost about, I think it was 700 plus, maybe even 800.
I think it was 723 homes.
Something like that.
723 homes, and of that 723 homes, there were 350 of them that were residents. So they were actually people that were living here. They weren't like vacation rentals or something like that.
Exactly.
So,
Airbnb, whatever.
Yeah. So a lot of those people, and a lot of them are retired folk that are on a fixed income, only have so much money coming in. A lot of them were uninsured
because of the June 2014 lava flow. They basically cut off.
They put a moratorium on insurance.
Right. And they were only about a month away of re-upping the ability to get insurance when the May eruption happened.
So a lot of them are pretty much destitute. They ended up staying at a tent city down at the high school. And living there for 6-8 months until they finally shut that down. I don't know, maybe they went and got rented some houses someplace else. Some people are actually rebuilding in Leilani estates.
Which is probably not the best idea because it is still moving down there.
Yeah. For us, we went and got a new piece of property, and we're rebuilding our home, which is kind of what we're talking about is our recovery. But this,
and we downsized. Everything had to downsize. I mean, we went from 10 acres of our own to 3 acres, then 3 acres of my mom, who was on a different property there on Poiki.
Yeah, she's going to end up having to live with us now because of the situation.
Right.
And that's just a sad deal all the way around. Pretty much everybody that, Well, there were a few people that were lucky enough that had been around that had insurance and have been covered, you know, by that and have been able to...
That was a fight, though, for them, too.
Well, a lot of them had to fight for it, yeah. Some of them didn't have to fight too much, but some of them were lucky enough to have insurance. They paid the premiums, which were pretty spicy, but hey, it paid off for them.
It did, in the end.
The rest of the people that lost their homes pretty much got, I think they pretty much got the FEMA money, the maximum of the FEMA money that they could get. And that's kind of what we got, and we were able to get another piece of land and start over doing the project. When we flew back, we didn't have any house or anything, but we spent a few weeks.
A whole month.
About a whole month?
About a month, yeah.
About a month we spent living in the pickup truck and taking a shower over at the neighbor's house, and they eventually felt sorry for us and let us stay over there at their Ohana for a couple of weeks, which was very kind of them.
Yeah, very kind. Well, they didn't actually know that we were living in our vehicle at that point in time. Otherwise, they said they would have offered it to us before then. But you know, we try not to impose. We try just to kind of do our own thing. But it was a very relieving, and we were very grateful for the opportunity to have a bed for the last 2 weeks.
For the last 2 weeks. Sleeping in a car is just not... Being homeless is really rough.
It is really rough. I mean, we're not homeless as of now. Well, sort of. We're not structureless, but it is still... we are still in a situation as to where we are camping. We've been back 6 months. I do have to admit that the project this time has gone much quicker than the last time. In 6 months, we've been working every day. We haven't had a day off, really, until this last week. A couple kids came out. We actually took a little bit of time to get away from all the work that we've been doing. But we're recovering. It's part of that recovery process. The first time I saw the mountain that we just went to and that y'all have seen, I bawled. In fact, in all honesty, I have bawled every time, and I'm actually kind of feeling it right now, feeling the vapors.
Are you getting steamy-eyed?
Getting a little steamy-eyed.
It's hard when you put in that much effort and time to build your dream. You know, you're figuring this is where you're gonna live the rest of your life,
right?
And then to have it pretty much, you know, just taken away that quick, just gone. It's tough.
It is.
It's tough.
It is.
As I'm sure anybody that's experienced a disaster that just wiped them out, they all know the story. You know, there's a lot of people that there's a lot of people on the internet that would say things like, well, served you right for building on a volcano.
Yeah, and then of course.
And of course, you know, they live in a coastal area. Well, hello, tsunami, or they live in an earthquake area, or they live in Tornado Alley, or I mean, a lot of these people live in, you know, glass houses and they're throwing stones. A natural disaster can happen, just like in Paradise, California.
Yeah.
A big wildfire came through and wiped everything out.
Right.
It can happen anywhere.
To anyone.
To anyone.
You may think that you're in a safe place, but you know, there is no guarantee that something won't happen.
Yeah.
That some natural disaster won't take out your entire life, basically.
So always be prepared.
No doubt. No doubt.
Or at least try to be.
Or at least try to be, no doubt.
This is the famous Pahoa roundabout.
This is fun.
Let's go around and about, shall we?
Yeah, go ahead. Go around and about.
We're gonna go round and about. There we go. We're gonna go round and about. Here, watch us go.
Okay.
Watch us go. There we go. We're heading out.
And there we go. Now you've seen Paoa. I'm just kidding.
The roundabout.
That's pretty much it. No. It does have a cute little, like,
It's a cute
village
little town.
area.
It's a cute
It's
little
a village.
town. It had its own character. It still does
It
have
still
its own.
does, yeah.
But a lot of the businesses suffered quite a bit because most of the people that were coming in there to do business in Pahoa were from Leilani Estates or from Kapoho, and Kapoho is completely wiped off the map. I think there might be a couple of houses left out there, but from what it used to be, it's
We
gone.
lost so many things. We lost Viopai. We lost.
Well, what is Viopai?
The
tide pools.
Yeah, the tide pools.
The tide pools. We lost the tide pools down there. The
turtles and fish and
there's things that were down there in Viopai that have been there for 1,000 years.
yeah.
Built many moons ago. They're all covered with lava. There's
The warm ponds.
the Warm Ponds was a very popular swimming hole that had natural geothermal spring that came up in the end of it, and it was connected to the ocean. So there was always brackish water pretty much that was
Yeah.
in there all the time.
Yeah. Champagne ponds.
Champagne Ponds, we lost that. It was a very, very popular little swimming hole down there in Kapoho.
Good place to go snorkel.
Yeah, good place to learn to snorkel.
And then we also lost the Poiki boat ramp.
Yeah, that got inundated with sand and gravel and stuff. In fact, they almost lost. That's actually called Isaac Hale Park. Most of the east end of the park was actually covered with lava, and what didn't cover it with lava filled in the boat ramp and bay with
Black sand.
with black sand.
Yeah, we now have a black sand beach down there.
We have many black sand beaches.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we actually camped on the east side of that in Isaac Hale Park with some friends, but the place that we actually camped at when we first got here is now completely inundated by the lava, the rock.
It's all gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. It's gone.
It's gone. It's gone.
Oh, and just recently they elevated the Mauna Loa volcano to an alert level because it's showing some of the many signs that it showed previously when it erupted before, which is no big surprise. I mean, the East Rift Zone has gone quiet. There's no lava coming out of Halimau or Pu'u'o, so it's just a matter of time till the pressure builds and something else, erupts someplace else. It's not a matter of if, but when.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Our new piece has an ocean view.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
It's a few miles away from the ocean.
It is.
And this time, it's not in such a high-risk area.
No.
We're pretty much right on the edge of Zone 1, Lava Zone 1, in our other piece of property. Which we basically rolled the dice. We figured, we looked at the statistics, and I think the statistics are a 10% chance of being covered by lava within 100 years.
4.
Yeah, well, that turned out to be
4 years.
4 years. At least since we've been there, but the averages are still there, I guess. Now we've moved to what they call Lava Zone 3, which is much lower risk. It's something like an 85% chance of getting covered by lava in 1,500 or 2,000 years. I'd have to look up the specs.
We're also completely out of the tsunami zone.
Yeah, we're up higher. It's a little cooler up there.
It is a little cooler. I think I kind of like it, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice.
I miss where we were before. We had really, really nice trade winds. The wind was always, sometimes it'd be ripping through there, but it was really nice breeze all the time.
Yeah.
We get some breezes up there, but they're not nearly as heavy as they were before. But it is cooler, like we were mentioning before, and that's nice.
It is.
Okay, so let's do some of the questions that we always get asked about living in Hawaii.
Okay.
Like, isn't it expensive to buy food here?
Well, it depends on how you shop. Yes, bread, milk, eggs are more expensive. They are. But to combat that, what we personally have done is we will raise our own chickens for eggs, stuff like that. Milk is probably about $2 more per gallon than it is mainland, but we really don't drink a lot of milk anyway. We really never have. Bread is one of those things that is expensive, but you can actually get it on sale, and it's comparable to mainland prices. Gas is also relatively comparable to mainland prices, depending on where you live mainland.
I think fuel averages about, what, 50 cents more a gallon here?
About that, yeah.
It's about 50 cents more a gallon, and it's worth every penny.
Yeah, it sure is. We have propane for heat and cooking and whatnot.
Well, for heat, when it gets down to 50 degrees or so, we might want to turn on the space heater or something, just because we're kind of soft and weak like that. But it also, we have a gas dryer. It is much cheaper and much easier to have the gas. However, one of the most expensive things here in Hawaii is the electricity. We have combated that. Yeah, we've nullified that with having our own off-grid solar system.
And it is a doozy. I have absolutely no problem running my dishwasher, my washer and dryer. The refrigerator runs all the time. I have
freezers.
Yep, the freezers.
All of those things.
Everything.
We can run. We pretty much can run whatever we want all the time, because we have a solar system that's sufficient enough to handle the load.
And not just ours. We are still planning to put another ohana, which is basically like a mother-in-law house or a guest house or whatever you want to call it. Here it is called an ohana. And we have plans to put one in, have had the house pad cleared for that as well. So the electrical system that we have, the solar system that we have, will run both of those houses with all the appliances, absolutely no problem. What else?
Water.
Oh, water. Okay, water's a new one. It's kind of new to us. On Poiki, we had the city water, which was really, really good. Now we have to catch our own water, which we got a catchment system.
It's
we put it together.
It's basically a big water tank we put together, put a lining in it, and
covered it.
And rainwater goes into it, and a pump pumps it out into a pressure tank, and it gets filtered through carbon and fiber filters to take out every particulate that may go through there. And then after that, it goes through an ultraviolet sanitizer. So if there is any biologicals or anything that may be in the water we
Leptosporidium.
Yeah, leptosporidium.
Rat lungworm.
Anything weird.
Like
anything
that.
weird like that will get baked out by the ultraviolet light. So the water comes from the sky, and
it's pure.
And
it's
to tell you the
really
truth,
pure.
out here in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there's no pollution in the air. So
No.
the rainwater is, what's coming out of the sky is pretty much pure to begin with. There's no smog in it, we actually did a test on it, and the particulates in there are 15 parts per million on particulate, like dust and salts and things like that would be in the water, where people do something out of their city water, their county water lines, acceptable is 250 million parts. 250 million parts per million. Yeah, parts per million. Parts per billion. So anyway, from 15 parts per million to 250 parts per million that you would see in a normal municipal water system, that's pretty pure. You can't really get much purer than that.
And it tastes really, really good.
Yeah.
It's got a really good, well, in all honesty, I kind of consider water with no flavor the best water in the world. We have absolutely no flavor in our water. But I love it. It's really good. The only thing that we did have kind of in the water was when we first put the catchment together, you get that plastic kind of taste, and that dissipates after time. And
the pipelines and all that stuff that are new, that you end up with a little bit of that plastic
kind of
taste
new hose, like you're drinking from the garden hose.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
But that goes away.
Yep.
And a lot of that had to do with the vinyl liner that went into the catchment tank too. That was pretty foul for a while.
We do chlorinate our water as well.
Yeah, we put a little bit of chlorine in there, but the carbon filter and stuff pretty much neutralizes any chlorine in the water that's there before it gets to the tap.
Yeah, so you don't end up with the flavor of it, but it does the job that you need it to do.
And talk about soft water.
Oh yeah. You know, another one of the nice things about being out here in Hawaii is that we can grow everything
year round.
I mean, even in the wintertime, it doesn't get cold enough at night not to grow something. And it does get cold enough in the evening in the winter to actually grow regular apples and, other things. But it doesn't get cold enough to kill off the citrus fruits either.
No. And we're looking forward to starting our new banana patch.
Very much. So we've been looking for banana trees for 6 months.
Yeah. Looking for banana stars for 6 months. We finally found some. Now we're gonna get those dropped in the ground.
I found a bunch of pineapples on the property. I've replanted some of them. The area that they're in is not a good area, but in clearing that, we pushed some over and whatnot. So we babied those. And bamboo. We got 3 different kinds of bamboo that I found on the property. We have the big furniture bamboo, the really big stuff, or they use it for closet rods, and they use it for furniture and stuff like that, depending on the size of the bamboo shoot itself. And then I found a very small amount of black bamboo, and black bamboo is it's really expensive. And then we also have a large clump of the matte bamboo, which is the smaller bamboo that you tie together and make the
wicker.
Yeah,
like wicker
like
bamboo.
A wicker bamboo.
Like a wicker kind of really thin reed-looking bamboo.
You make shades out of them, or mats, the bamboo mats and stuff. So yeah. No. Weren't you gonna say?
I was gonna say, well, here's the place so far. It's dried in with a roof, Now we're working on cutting all the walls out on the inside.
Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the